I feel like the movie Home Alone. You made the classroom disappear. Where's everything? Today's Thursday, right? It's Tuesday. Oh, well, one of those days.
Today we have a short lesson, and I also brought, and I'm going to go downstairs, I have some art materials that I'd like for us to work with today. So after a short lesson, a little lecture, maybe an activity, then I'll go get the material so that we can work on it. I'll give you some guidance on that. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Y vamos a empezar aquí.
Is what I heard him say 2 weeks ago. Do you think that's like Mrs. County size? Or no? This is really big.
All right, so just a little bit adding to Kentucky, so what else are we adding to the chapter? Again, I'm showing you 3 major themes.
This is a 100.
3 chapters. Sustantivos is the vocabulary. These are our nouns. Adjectives, we've looked at quite a few. This is just a reminder. We looked at descriptive. We looked at nationality or origin. Origen. We also talked about possessive adjectives. And yesterday we talked about these ones, or actually today we're going to talk about the demonstrative adjective right here. The demonstrative adjective then is the last one we're going to look at as far as demonstrative adjectives. And we're going to look at the adjective, we're going to describe it as the adjective of pointing out. We'll get back to that in a minute. In the meantime, let's fill this in. We looked at AR verbs, we looked at ER verbs, we looked at IR verbs. We call these regular verbs in the present tense. We also saw the verb ser, and the verb estar, and the verb hay. And these are the ones we call irregular verbs. Ser, estar, and hay, and there. So today we concentrate on this point right here called the demonstrative adjective. And by the name demonstrate, you can see that demonstrating is what it's going to do. It points out. It has to do with pointing out position in space. In position in space, in what's gonna be in place. You're like, what are you talking about? We're talking about pointing out the position or the place of something in space in relation to the speaker. In space and sometimes in time, and I'll talk about that one later. But what I'm talking about here is when you say this pen and that pen, this pen, you know that by the word this, that the location of the object is close to the speaker. But when I say that pen, the position of the pen is now further away. Simply by using the words this and that, the position is established. Close and far. Close and far. In Spanish, our demonstrative pronouns are este and ese. Este bolígrafo indica que el bolígrafo está cerca, near to me. Ese bolígrafo indica que el bolígrafo is further away, further from me, the speaker. Mi perspectiva is what matters here. Your perspective as the listener is to see that object close to me or further from me, the speaker. When you speak, your perspective is different. And if we are on opposite ends, my este bolígrafo, ese bolígrafo would be este bolígrafo, ese bolígrafo from his point of view. In Espanol, unlike English, we have a third distance indicator. Este bolígrafo, ese bolígrafo, aquel bolígrafo really far away. So we have this, that, and that far away in Espanol. We call these adjectives because they describe where the object is. We could describe the pen in many different ways. We're describing it in where it sits, where it is in space. The word bolígrafo is a masculine singular term. Este, ese, and aquel are the masculine singular adjectival of demonstration. Demonstrative. As soon as this object changes, when we talk about something else, like this chair, we can still talk about them as here, there, and over there. Y aquí estamos viendo una, dos, tres distancias. Esta silla, esa silla, aquella silla, que in reality, these three terms are the same as these three terms. They just have different forms because agreement. Agreement must occur. Like in all adjectives, agreement is here. So that singular masculino, singular femenino is working this way. See? And ¿y qué pasa cuando el objeto es más de more than one?
Oh, like esos polígrafos,
Exacto.
esos polígrafos, aquellos.
Aquellos bolígrafos, estas, and aquellas. Muy bien, exactly. We have to make it agree. This time we're making it agree in number. So that masculine, feminine, singular, plural are what we're talking about when we talk about agreement. And all adjectives agree. And that's what we okay. Kind of get it? Vamos a ver. El libro de texto explains a few things to us, much the same way that I just explained it. They give us a chart, It gives a chart like this. But we have este abrigo and esta gorra. That's that first level. The first level away from me, the speaker. Este abrigo and esta gorra. Obviously, the coat and the hat are near me because I said este and esta. But I'm making a difference between este and esta because abrigo is masculino and gorra is femenino. The coat that's right there and the hat that's right there would be called ese abrigo and esa gorra. And the ones that are further away would be aquel abrigo and aquella gorra. When those become plurals, like two coats or five coats and two hats, estos, esos, aquellos, and in the feminine, estas, esas. This chart on page whatever it is going to be useful to you when we're working on philosophy. I do want to call your attention to three little words. Aquí, allí, allá. All right, so where those are adjectives, este, ese, aquel, are adjectives of place, adjectives of demonstrating a pointing position. These words, aquí, allí, and allá, are adverbs of space and place. How do these work? Well, we can say that these adverbs of place are associated with those adjectives in such a way that when we are talking of this place here, aquí, we will be using forms of este. When we're talking about that place there called allí, allí, in the allí space, we will be using forms of ese. And if it's really far away in that place that we call allá, way over there, allá, in that place called allá, we use forms of aquel. So, where is it? If I say este libro, you say aquí. If I say ese libro, that's allí. And if I say aquel libro, it's way over there in allá. Right? Think of these as three different places, here, there, and over there. Right? Aquí, allí, allá. Those are the place names. And the adjectives that we associate with them are the three levels that you can see in your things. Good questions yet? Kind of making sense? Look, this woman and this man, they're at the department store. And they must have been talking about the pants. And maybe he said, you know, those pants are really expensive or something like that. Estos pantalones cuestan mucho dinero. Esos pantalones son caros. And she says, which one? Those pants? Esos pantalones? No. Aquellos. Allá. See how the allá is being used further away? She's saying those pants? No, those pants. Far away. Right? Those pants? And she says those pants. Listen to this. The original word is S-E-S-E. But it becomes esos because pantalones is in the plural. Esos pantalones. He says, no, aquellos allá. He skipped the word pantalones, didn't he? But he can do that. Because she said, esos pantalones. He said, no, aquellos allá. Because he skipped pantalones, we still know what he meant. And that happens in English too. When you say, those pants? No, those over there. You left off the pants in English too. Don't leave off the pants. Those over there. So it's sometimes okay to leave out the actual reference, to leave out that thing we're talking about, because it's understood. It says that using esse and aquel. Forms of esse refer to nouns that are not close to the speaker. Forms of aquel refer to nouns that are even further away from the speaker. Is that incorrect English? Even farther away. Maybe that's right. I thought it was even further away. But anyway, in in the chart it shows you, but what I wanna get at this one is that it's all relative to you, the speaker. If I say, ese libro es bonito, and you say, no, aquel bonito es bonito. What's the difference between ese and aquel? Distance, but my distance far away may not be your far away. And so we sometimes kind of don't coincide on some of those expressions. Vamos a ver. Okay, so we have this closet. And we're going to take a little quiz on this. Not really, but we're going to practice with it. We have some items in the closet. First of all, we're going to practice vocabulary. What is this in español? La gorra. And esto es el traje de baño. What do we call these? Los zapatos or chanclas or sandalias. Las chanclas. Here we have la
Camisa,
camiseta y los
pantalones,
pantalones. What do we call this right here?
cinturón,
El cinturón.
el cinturón,
And over here we have el
suéter,
suéter y la
falda,
y los.
zapatos,
Very good.
tenis.
Very good vocabulary.
Okay, camiseta is like a t-shirt. Camisa is like a dress shirt, is that right?
Yeah, button shirt, una camisa. You're wearing a camiseta and so am I. Is anybody wearing a camisa? Not quite. Nobody wearing a camisa.
Is that what you would call a dress shirt, like a?
Like, it doesn't have to be dress, it just has to be buttons.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like a collared button shirt would be a camisa. And it doesn't have to be dressy, it could just be like, you know, an everyday shirt. What is a shirt?
Oh,
Shirt, the difference between shirt and t-shirt. And like I said last time we were here, what is that difference? Sometimes we say, I like your shirt, and you never say, you mean my t-shirt. You know, we don't make those distinctions in English. It's the same in Spanish. We can call that a shirt, la camisa. The truth, technically speaking, the real term would be la camiseta. And it makes a big difference sometimes in Spanish because sometimes it changes. We change a word and we change gender, so it makes a difference. Like for example, we had somebody said los zapatos here for these right here. That's not incorrect. We could call them los zapatos. Why not? But when we say no, they're called las sandalias. That makes a difference because if we start describing these shoes, and I call them zapatos and you call them sandalias, our adjectives are going to be different form. So sometimes it does make sense that we agree on what they're called. And so we call this la falda, el suéter, los zapatos, pantalones, camiseta, cinturón. Looks like she was a cheerleader. But anyway, so here she is, and she's not saying anything yet. She's about to say a sentence about, you know, these items, like maybe these items or whatever. But she says, esta blank. So automatically, but just by looking at the word esta, we know that she's talking about the items of clothing that are closest to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? Is it esta this, esta this, or esta these? Esta
Yes.
gorra.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't she say esta traje de baño?
because it's masculine and feminine.
Exactly. So if traje de baño is masculine, you can't use esta with it. It has to be esta. So esta gorra would be the right answer. Then, still talking about things close to her, she says estas chanclas and este traje de baño. All those things are close to her. We know that because she says esta in this form. Then she says aquel. Takes us over here to the far.
Aquellos. Oh, aquel.
Aquel what?
Cinturón,
Cinturón.
No, far away. Not the kind of far away, but far away. Aquel suéter. Right? Aquel suéter. And then she said aquellos
Zapatos.
zapatos. Very good. Then she goes back to esos, which is closer to her. Esos what?
Pantalones.
Pantalones, and that's it. Esos pantalones. You kind of get it. And she hasn't actually said anything. She's just pointing things out. I'm going to make a couple of sentences with you when you listen and watch. We are here. I'm one of these boys, and I say, estos pantalones son azules. Esos pantalones son negros. Aquellos pantalones son marrones. Using adjectives. Este suéter es rojo, ese suéter es amarillo, aquel suéter es anaranjado. That's basically all I can say, that's all the clothes are. Here we have another picture, and this is for you to look at. This is you right here with your shiny black hair. And you're looking in on your dorm room. Any of you live in a dorm? I may as well. That was pretty messy, but he says, this book is green. Este libro es verde. And that book is red. Ese libro es rojo. Este libro es verde. Ese libro es rojo. Aquel libro es azul. Now he's going to say something else. He's going to say, esta mochila es grande. Aquella mochila es grande también also. I'm going to talk about chairs. This chair and this telephone. Or this telephone and this cat and that cat. Or these pants and these pants. Or the poster, or the computer. And so what I'd like you to do is with your partner come up with 3 good sentences talking about describing an item, but give it a position in the same way that I did. Let me give you another example. Este teléfono es moderno. Aquel teléfono no es moderno. Este and aquel. See if you can come up with 3 good sentences between the two of you, and then we'll see what you do. Right? You can write them on scratch paper or in the margin of the book or something.
Esos pantalones son azules.
Biología. ¿Es biología?
Son azules. Aquel, this is far away, right? Aquel gato
Usas cosas de ese dibujo y usas
negro.
los demás. Este dice.
I wonder if we would say aquel gato if there was only one in the picture. You know what I mean? But, well, there's only one of everything in the picture besides the books. I think that's right.
This is far away.
Yeah, well, we're out.
Is sleeping. You would say está dormido.
Aquella ventana. Aquella ventana.
Although you could say something else, like you take these wide, you take these. But not just El Gato, that cat over there, so we can say Aquel Gato. Because you can just say El Gato, it's a cat. We're trying to figure out where he is.
I usually do them on Friday, but I did 2 during the week, and then I was gonna do the last one on Friday, and I had to go to work. And I usually don't work on Friday.
For the Dia de los Muertos, for the kids at the hospital.
No, I didn't, no, in the morning.
Oh, okay.
I worked in the morning because, our supervisor was out.
Aquella ventana está cerrada. Good, muy bien. Y aquel gato es negro y
Is it aquel because there's only one? Okay.
y esos pantalones son azules. Perfecto. Perfecto. You get the idea now. And it's interesting when you think about adjectives and what they do. They describe the qualities. They also describe who owns it, and they describe now where in space they are.
Adjectives make the world go round.
That's true. That's true.
So what are the kids doing for the Dia de los Muertos?
They did sugar schools on Friday. They did them there. I didn't do it. I didn't take my kids, but my sister's having a Halloween party tomorrow. She had one last year. And like in our neighborhood, because I live right here off of Harrison Boulevard, nobody goes trick or treating anymore. So we go over there where my sister lives, and my sister lives off of like Cimarron, and they have like a bunch of people. So it's like a good crowd, like to go trick or treating, and then like for us to pass out candies because our oldest is 16, and then we have a 13-year-old and then a 9-year-old.
Oh, goodness, so dangerous.
Yeah. Well, my son, he goes to, for the last 2 years, he's gone to his friend's house and they pass out candies. They get dressed up, the teenagers, they get dressed up, like, not like dressed up like, but like they get like the same shirts or, you know, whatever, and they pass out candies, and then my daughter will go with us. She usually goes with us.
That's
And then, our
kind, that's
youngest,
the
of
ones
course,
you use for here, there.
he goes with us. Our youngest is with us. It's just our oldest that
Shelf
takes off.
is, it's a big word, estanteria.
Yeah, but he was very non-social, so I like that he's going and doing stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what we call them veggies?
Stays
Repisas.
home. You want to do this? He's like, get over here. So thank you for taking care of the house.
Aquí el libro está en la repisas.
Oh my God, it's so cold the last.
Was it the day that we were talking about it?
No, on Thursday it was even colder. Because I missed last year on Thursday, but I went to the water. To my other classes.
We're going to be in here for a little bit, and then specifically we're going to go to the lake to work on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, the water was so cold. I was like, God, I just want to get out. It was colder that day than what it was on Tuesday.
Dang.
El balón.
Is it, do you think because they didn't have the heater on or something?
Yeah, after a while, like it got warm.
El
But I
balón.
don't know if it's like motion activated. Because it was cold when we got in, but after a little bit it got warm and you could feel the heat. Yeah, you could feel the heat.
Maybe it was motion activated. That's a good idea.
The point is, it's way up there, so that's.
If nobody's in there, why would it be?
Very good. So then the distance then, la distancia is marked by these words. And we were talking about that ball again. You called it a pelota. That's not incorrect. La pelota. Balón, el balón.
Sí, parece bounce.
Balón is the ball and baloncesto is basketball game. So you wouldn't call that a baloncesto, because baloncesto is the name of the game, basketball. But the ball is called el balón. And so this balón, it's orange, but it's that balón way over there. So you said aquel balón es anaranjado. A lot of you did focus on that one. What was one sentence that came out of your group, ladies?
Aquella ventana está cerrada.
Aquella ventana, and she said is closed, está cerrada. Aquella ventana. In her eyes, that window's far away, and I think in all of our eyes too. That's why she said aquella ventana. What about from that group over there, guys? What you get on?
Aquel gato es negro.
Very good. Aquel gato es negro, far away. Maite, are you ever gone?
Yes.
You said aquel gato es negro. Here, you did too. So what did you get? Same thing. Aquel gato. Yeah,
We
gato.
did too.
Huh?
Everybody's saying about the black cat.
No? Okay, aquella foto es una mujer cantando, is a woman singing. Aquella foto, you call it a photo, it could be a poster. Did anyone else see poster in Spanish? The word is cartel, so it's a aquel cartel because it's masculine.
Cartel?
Like a drug cartel.
So if you were to have a lot of posters, it'd be carteles? Carteles.
Poster. Spanish is very versatile language. Cartel would be what we would normally call
Yeah.
it. Poster, if we're kind of like, oh, we're cool, we speak.
We're from Texas.
Poster. Un poquito de inglés también. El poster en el closet. El cartel. Yeah, what if it was a poster of a cartel? El cartel del cartel.
Like that,
is very far away.
who's that one guy?
All right, so.
Tony
and from,
Montana.
did you get one from the lady?
Tony Montana posters at Sunrise Mall.
Uh-huh. Okay, that one? So you wouldn't say esta, you'd say.
Morao.
aquella.
Aquella.
The farthest away.
Aquella.
Uh-huh. No, I'm not the one in the middle, because this one here, this is near me. And that one's really far away, so that's aquella, aquella mochila es morada. All right, so this, you'll have some of these in your homework. You may have noticed that I moved the homework date for this chapter, so you can continue working on it. I'm gonna pause right now and talk to you a little bit about what's gonna happen on Thursday. Thursday, you're gonna come to class for a little bit, maybe till about this time, and then we're gonna start making our way to the library, and then we're gonna be here, and then in the library, we're gonna be setting, you're gonna help me set up some things for an 11 o'clock event that we're hosting. It's a Dia de los Muertos altar display and student art exhibit. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a table with some decorations, basically. We're going to set up a table for refreshments, set up cups and plates and things like that, napkins. And we will also have a few tables to display art. You may help me make that day some labels to label the art with student names and things of this nature. Set it up, get it really nice and pretty, dim the lights, get some music going. One of you will be on the computer trying to find some adequate music so we can play overhead. And then at 11 o'clock, you're welcome to stay, please, because that's when the reception starts. When people will start coming into Del Mar, to the room in the library, from Del Mar College. Not just you guys, people from all over the place will come and say, look at the art and look at all the things that the Spanish department is doing. So, that being said, what is Dia de los Muertos? Dia de los Muertos is a day on the Catholic calendar that is celebrated throughout the Catholic world, and also, especially in Mexico, in a different way. So whereas the Catholics would typically just go to church on that day and remember their dead, go home and say, wow, I remembered my dead, and we prayed for them today. In Mexico, it's that and more, because in Mexico, the one that you see on television, the one that you see at the Dia de los Muertos celebration that you saw here in Corpus on the past weekend, is the one where, did you guys watch Coco? Did you guys watch Tree of Life or something like that? That kind of celebration of the dead, of inviting them back, but not just inviting them back, but inviting them back for the whole day, and inviting them back and having a lot of fun, having a party. And so in a typical Mexican household, and I'm gonna say this is, it's not as prevalent in urban homes as it is in rural homes. And it's more prevalent in more devout families than non-devout families. So that the more Catholic you are, the more rural you are, the more you're apt to celebrate it in this way. And so what they do is they set up a table at a home, in your home, in a corner of your house, and that corner is dedicated to all the dead people in your family who have passed on before you, obviously. And you put a picture of them on there. Not just a picture, but you put a candle. And you put a candle for each and many more. And you decorate it with flowers. And you decorate it with color. And you decorate it with everything that they liked when they were alive. So whether it was chocolate or vices like cigarettes, tequila, or beer, those kinds of things. Special foods that they like to entice them to come back. And so the belief is that their spirits will return on November 2nd. Their spirits will return to be amongst the living and just kind of be there and hang out. While you're having a party, they're having a party too. And then we say goodbye to them and then they go away for another year. That kind of invitation of the spirit world to mix with the human world is a belief that is held by mostly the indigenous people of Mexico. You don't quite see it anywhere else except in Mexico this way. It is related to the indigenous beliefs that they had before the arrival of the Spanish. And when the Spanish arrived, they saw all these rituals going on and they said, wait a minute, we came here to make them Catholics, what are we gonna do? And so what they did was they kind of incorporated the Mexican tradition with the Spanish tradition, and that's why they coincide with the same day, right? Mexicans were holding this celebration on another day in the summer maybe. And it wasn't until the Spanish came that they said, yeah, we do the same thing. So make it on November 2nd like we do, and you can keep it. Right? You can continue to be, to celebrate it in this way, but we'll call it Dia de los Muertos because we already have a Dia de los Muertos, so it coincides, right? And it was a way of incorporating two traditions into one. It's a fun tradition. The one you see on TV is in a place called, the most famous one is on an island. It's called Janitzio, the island. Janitzio is in the middle of Pátzcuaro. Pátzcuaro is a lake in the middle of Mexico, and there's just this island there, and that's where the most famous celebrations. That's the one that the celebrities go to. That's the one that's on Univision. That's the one that you've seen. Right? And lots of tourists come and see it. It's called a spectacle, but not in a bad way. It's a spectacle. People come and say, wow, look at what these people do. This is fun. Right? And so I think that the U.S., at least South Texas and Corpus Christi, has adopted the cultural aspect and the art aspect of it. We like the art, we like the music, we like the food and the festivities. We're not as apt to accept at least I don't think so, like the religious aspect of it. Maybe we don't believe so much, but we certainly have a lot of fun painting faces and wearing costumes and kind of participating in the festivities, eating and drinking, basically. You see this in Mexico, all over the rural countryside where families will gather at you know, that festival that we had downtown this weekend, all over the streets of downtown, happens in cemeteries. And so that the fiestas are happening in cemeteries where we will all gather around grandmother's tomb and picnic there overnight. And it happens at night. The candles are there to light the way. There's a lot of tradition with what the candles are for, what the water is for, what the flowers are for. The flowers are called cempasúchil. This word right here. Cempasúchil is Aztec language. Aztec language, by the way, is called this is the language. This is the flower. In Spanish, we have a name for this flower. When the Spanish got here, the indigenous person goes, here, have a cempasúchil. And he goes, oh really? You want me to have a chrysanthemo? Right, so the Spanish had a word to say, oh, we know that flower, it's called a chrysanthemo. No, it's called a cempasúchil, and it's the same one, right? So there's two different things. We have a cempasúchil, but I'll have a chrysanthemo, right? But it's the same thing. And it's this sunflower, not a sunflower in the sense that you know, it's a flower that's yellow, bright, and orange. And what it is, it's a symbol of the sun. It's a symbol of light. So that's why they use it in death ceremony. Also the smell. You ever smell a chrysanthemum? Or what do they call it? A marigold? They smell like pepper, right? They're not sweet. They smell like pepper. And supposedly that smell, along with the lights of the candles and the water jugs and the food, entices the spirits to come back on that day, but only for one day, and then they go back. There was this famous Mexican writer. His name is Octavio Paz. Octavio Paz wrote a lot of poems and stuff. Famous guy. And he said, it's really cool to be Mexican. He said, if you're Mexican, you get to mingle with the dead and the living at the same time. So he was really happy to be Mexican, as if only Mexicans could do this, right? But at least Mexicans were able to express it this way. I think Americans have a different, I think we're getting better at it, but I think Americans have a different attitude toward death. They're like, and you step away, right? Whereas in Mexico, the idea is death, grandma's dead, but you know, grandma's always with us now. And so grandma has that liberty to fly in and fly out whenever she wants to, which makes it advantageous to the American aspect is like, you don't want to look, right? Because you're afraid, we're all afraid, we should be afraid. But death is a frightening thing, whereas in Mexican culture, death is seen more of of just another step in this cycle, right? Just another step. And then those are just kind of beliefs, right? We believe or we don't believe. The point is, it's kind of nice to see that there is some joy associated with that. It shouldn't be scary. And I know that at first, when you look at some of the imagery from Dia de los Muertos, it should be happy imagery. Not like there's a, have you seen the wreath in the lab? That's creepy and scary, right? So it's not that kind of death. It's more of a kind of, let me show you some images of Dia de Muertos in Janitzio. Dia de Muertos. By the way, it's called Dia de Muertos or Dia de los Muertos, both are words. Dia de Muertos. Janitzio. And let's see. My thing is on the Janitzio. Put images so you can see. And here you see them gathering around in the cemetery. It's kind of dark because it happens at night. But there's the island of Janitzio. It's really cool, right? And it's in the middle of this lake, Lake Pátzcuaro. There's a city out here, and you have to take a boat to get out there. They take the tourists in, and they walk up into the cemetery wherever it is, and then they create their parties. Now, the altar has been in people's homes the whole time, and on the actual Day of the Dead, they go to the cemetery with some of the same decorations and things that they had, or they create a new one when they get to the cemetery. That's what we're kind of celebrating at Del Mar on Thursday. And here's some art associated with it. You see all this color.
Did you go to the festival this weekend?
I didn't. I stayed away. Not because I went. I saw it. I went somewhere else. But as I saw it, I thought it was entirely too many people. It was no place to park, that kind of thing. But some other time. But it has become quite commercialized. And I know that the commercialization is good in a way, because what it does is it brings out an aspect of culture. In this case, it's a good aspect of culture, and it gives it to the world, which is good. Also, commercialization, though, is kind of bad for the guys who are like, dude, we just wanted a nice celebration. All of a sudden, there's cameras, and they're selling, you know.
Yeah, it's gotten bigger every year.
And they're selling this aspect of culture. Like when I was talking about Frida Kahlo a couple of weeks ago, Frida Kahlo was an artist in her own right, and I think she'd be turning over in her grave right now, knowing that her image is on handbags and on necklaces and on earrings and on glasses and on everything. I don't think that she would want to be commercialized. I think that she was everything opposed. As a matter of fact, she was a communist, so she'd be everything opposed to being commercialized. But here we have the commercialization of Dia de los Muertos. Not a bad thing necessarily, because maybe some of you would have never heard of Dia de los Muertos had it not been for
The art instructor, Ken Rozier, years ago put one together about his daughter who passed away, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And this was maybe 15 years ago or something.
The skull, the image of death is the skeleton, and the skull in particular. The skull are made. They make them out of anything: paper mache, it's painted, a piñata. They do sugar skulls that are made out of sugar molds like these right here, and they decorate them. These right here are plain; they don't have anything on them, but they would put icing on them. These are inedible. These are made with a sugar compound that has sugar and something else to keep it, and it's not working, but to keep it hard and not crumbly. But typically in a home, I would make them, you would make them, our families would make them with just sugar and water. Sugar and water, and if you wanted to, you could add food coloring to it so they come out a different color. And then they're edible, they're candy. And so you frost them up with like cake frosting, you make it beautiful. And kids make these like American kids make Valentine's. You know, American kids on Valentine's, they like handing out Valentine's. In Mexican culture, in rural culture, they're like on Dia de los Muertos. and it says here, Miranda. And it's just a reminder, Miranda, that this is you underneath, right? And it's me underneath. It's just a reminder that we're all the same, and we're all like little bonehead, that's all. Right? And then you eat them, and you get a stomach ache. because you
Yeah,
eat
well,
something.
that's sugar. You get diabetes.
And you don't give out to everybody. There's a tradition, a funny tradition in Mexico. They're called calacas. Now, a calaca, the word calaca, it must be an indigenous word. I don't think that word existed in Spanish before. The word calaca itself is, it's kind of onomatopoeic. You can kind of hear the bones, calaca, like it's supposed to sound like bones. But calaca is also a poem. We give it the name to a poem, and a poem that's dedicated to you, Sir Jose. And he may be alive, as he is right now, but I make a poem about the dead Jose. And it's just kind of playing around with this kind of topic of death. We don't take it quite as seriously. And we make a little poem about Jose, a funny poem. And what you end up doing, it's satirical, it's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take out some aspect of him and make fun of it. Right? Not in an ugly, bullying way, but just kind of making fun of something that you do. Or not even making fun, just bringing it out. I don't know enough about each of you to make fun of you. But like if you want to make one of your family, for example, you make one of your family member who, maybe your grandfather drank and smoked a lot, or something like this, you would make reference to that on here. Or if your grandfather was a doctor, and you're going to say that, you know, he saved many lives, something like that, and then anything that they did in life. But I should give you some examples. We wrote some last year, but you have to know the people really well to be able to write one. This image right here, of this one right here, comes out a lot in Mexican culture. Now, this woman right here is a dead woman. Her name was, I don't know if she had a name, but
Katrina?
she is what we
Catherine?
call La Catrina.
Catherine.
And the word Catherine in Spanish means gentleman. Catrina is just a woman, and so this woman is aristocratic. She's rich, was rich, and she represented when Jose Guadalupe Posadas, a Mexican painter and etchist, is that the word? He did etchings. He created her. He wanted her to represent aristocratic Mexicans. He wanted her to represent the rich people in Mexico. And more than anything, during the epoch where he was doing this, they call it a mujer porfiriana, which Mexico had a president, Porfirio Diaz. Porfirio Diaz's time in Mexico was a time of grandeur in Mexico, where the rich were very rich.
French
They enjoyed
aristocracy.
things like opera, ballets, and this sort
Very
of thing.
Frenchified.
Very Frenchified, as she says. And so, yes,
Lucky
this
señora.
mujer, La Catrina, and Posadas etched her first, and then she showed up, kind of commercialized, and a whole bunch of other things. Even Diego Rivera used her later in some of his murals, where he's doing all the greats of Mexico. He puts Benito Juarez, and he puts Moctezuma, and he puts even the Spanish explorer, and then he puts her in the middle of them all. This is a symbol of Mexico. Muy bien. And the face painting. Now, muy bien. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of you with me downstairs, and I can dismiss class at this point, or you can just hang out. I'm going to put you to do a little bit of artwork, if you don't mind. Or you can come back tomorrow. We're going to be doing it again between 11, tomorrow Wednesday, between 11 and 1 o'clock. We're going to be in this room. We're going to be doing some artwork and getting ready for Thursday. This week you're watching Mi Vida Loca again. No, second half of Volver, and regular speaking sessions. First half of Volver, shocking.
I didn't want to give away too much. I was like, don't say anything, don't say anything.
So you're over the, okay, so it is what it is, right? So you're over the initial, it's a very heavy topic, and I think you're gonna see a good resolution this week when the movie wraps up. Maybe. There might be
Which one
some
was
tears.
Peppa?
Pepa is Irene. Irene is the old woman mother that.
The one that died?
The one that's supposedly dead.
Supposedly dead. She's probably the one been using the exercise bike.
Is she still?
She was in a trunk.
That's kind of interesting that we're watching this because it takes place during Dia de Muertos. When you first start the movie, you see them at the cemetery.
Cleaning.
They're cleaning, they're singing, having a wonderful time. It's because Dia de Muertos is coming, and for Dia de Muertos they have to have clean.
Shine. They want to brillante.
Beautiful, clean parade.
So then they do that in Spain too?
They do that part.
Okay.
They don't do.
The face
That's like
paintings.
The Mexican flag, but they don't do the whole calacas. and
Okay,
first.
okay. But they do they go to church part. Okay, that's the part I remember. This other stuff was new but exciting.
The kissing is incessant, a little bit.
Yes, like what?
I stopped exactly
The kissing is a bit of Almodovar poking fun at country folk.
And then she said, she keeps saying, your eyes like your father, and then she kills her father, so I had to go back and watch it like, oh, okay, it's a grandpa's eyes.
Yes.
It's very like,
It is kind of confusing. Family relationships
Yeah.
are confusing at this point. Now, Tia Paulina, which is the woman that lives in the country, the woman that lives in the village house.
yeah, that beautiful garden.
That old woman, that old woman, Paulina, is the woman who played the door woman in Women on the Verge. The Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, there was an old woman, she was old then, there was an old woman that played the door woman at the high-rise apartment where Pepa lived. That woman is now playing Tia Paulina in this one. Much older. She was in her 50s then, she must be about 70 in this one. Any other reactions to the film? The funny thing is that the word cerdo in Spanish means pig. Cerdo. Cerdo means pig, and sometimes we refer to chops, like pork chops, as cerdo. When we write cerdo, cerdo just means pig or pork, right? But it's also the word that's used for disgusting men, like men cerdo, right? Like you would in English, I guess, oh, pigs, horrible men that, philander or have girlfriends all over the place. Just kind of like this horrible. And so when the acting troupe, have you guys met the acting troupe yet in the movie? No? Rosamunda, what's her name?
Rumilda or something like that?
Raimunda makes friends with an actor.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She invites him over to the restaurant to come eat, and says, what do we have? He says, cerdo. And we're like, what? Thinking that she might serve up her dead husband.
Yeah, because he is in the freezer.
He's in the freezer, yeah. There's some things that you're supposed to find amusing and funny, and other things you're supposed to find disgusting, and other things you're supposed to find like, oh, that's something to think about. So all of that's happening in the film. We'll have a better chance to talk about it at the end of the week, maybe on Monday or Tuesday of next week. I'm running out of time. I'm gonna go downstairs and get the artwork. If you're not here when I get back, I won't feel that bad. But if you do, I'll get you started on some art. If not, we're gonna be doing art tomorrow from 11 to 1. Okay? Gracias.
Come on, Steve.
All right. Yeah, look on the grade book. You'll see the grade book has